Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important parts of Earth, the biosphere. It's all about the living world, from the tiniest bacteria to the biggest trees, and we're going to break it all down in a way that's easy to understand. So, what is the biosphere? Well, it's the part of Earth where life exists. It's not just the animals and plants, though. It also includes the air, the water, and the land. The biosphere is made up of four main parts. The atmosphere, that's the air around the Earth. The hydrosphere, all the water, from oceans to lakes to rivers. The geosphere, the land, rocks, and soil, and of course, living organisms, plants, animals, fungi, and even tiny microbes. In the biosphere, there are three main groups of living organisms: producers, autotrophs. These organisms, like plants, algae, and phytoplankton, produce their own food using sunlight through photosynthesis. Consumers, heterotrophs. These organisms cannot make their own food. They eat other organisms for energy, such as herbivores, for example cows, carnivores, for example lions, and omnivores, for example humans. Decomposers. These are organisms like fungi and bacteria that break down dead material and recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem. Let's take a closer look at producers. These are organisms that create their own food. They do this through two main processes: photosynthesis and chemosynthesis. First, we have photosynthesis, which is how plants, algae, and phytoplankton make their food. They take in sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide from the air and turn them into sugars. This process also releases oxygen, which is essential for life on Earth. Now, not all producers rely on sunlight. Some bacteria living in extreme environments, like deep-sea vents, use chemicals such as hydrogen sulfide to make food in a process called chemosynthesis. Producers are crucial because they form the base of every food chain and help sustain life on Earth. Without them, consumers like animals and humans wouldn't have anything to eat. Now, let's talk about consumers. These are organisms that cannot make their own food like producers do. Instead, they rely on eating other organisms to get energy. We classify consumers based on their diet into three main types: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. First, we have herbivores. These are animals that only eat plants. For example, cows, deer, and rabbits are all herbivores. They feed on producers to get their energy. Next, we have carnivores, which eat other animals. These are often secondary or tertiary consumers in the food chain. For example, lions, wolves, and hawks are carnivores. They hunt other animals for food. And then we have omnivores. These animals eat both plants and animals. Humans, raccoons, and bears are all omnivores, eating a variety of foods from both producers and consumers. So, to sum it up, herbivores eat plants, carnivores eat animals, and omnivores eat both. Consumers play an essential role in the food web, connecting all the different layers of life on Earth. Now, let's talk about decomposers. These organisms are essential for breaking down dead material and organic waste, recycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. They play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of the environment. First, we have bacteria. These tiny microorganisms break down organic matter at the microbial level. Without bacteria, dead plants and animals wouldn't be broken down into usable nutrients for the soil. Next, fungi like mushrooms and molds are key decomposers, especially in forests. They break down dead plants and trees, returning important nutrients like nitrogen and carbon to the environment. And don't forget earthworms. These creatures break down organic material in the soil, helping to improve soil fertility. Their actions make the soil more nutrient-rich for plants to grow. So, Decomposers like bacteria, fungi, and earthworms are vital in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus back into the environment. They ensure that nothing goes to waste, helping ecosystems thrive. Now let's talk about biodiversity in the biosphere. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life forms that exist within the biosphere, including the diversity of species, genes, and ecosystems. Biodiversity is essential for the health and stability of ecosystems. It helps regulate critical ecosystem services like pollination, important for plant reproduction, nutrient cycling, helps maintain soil health, pest control, keeping pest populations in check. These services are vital for the survival of all organisms on Earth, including humans. But what happens if we lose biodiversity? The loss of species can destabilize ecosystems, making it harder for them to recover from disturbances like natural disasters or climate change. The more biodiversity an ecosystem has, the more resilient it is to changes. That's why preserving biodiversity is so important for the health of our planet. We depend on these ecosystems and their services to thrive. Let's now talk about how energy and nutrients move through ecosystems, and we do this through food chains and food webs. A food chain is a linear sequence of organisms where energy and nutrients are transferred from one to another. For example, a simple food chain could be grass, grasshopper, frog, snake, hawk. Each step in the food chain shows how energy is passed from one organism to the next, starting with the producers, like plants, and moving up to the consumers, like herbivores, carnivores, and top predators. On the other hand, a food web is a more complex and interconnected network of food chains. In a food web, organisms can be part of multiple food chains, making it a much more realistic representation of how energy flows in an ecosystem. Food webs are more resilient to changes in the environment because organisms are connected in multiple ways. For example, if one part of the web is affected, other pathways still provide support for the ecosystem. So, to summarize, while a food chain is a simple one-way path of energy, a food web shows how everything in an ecosystem is connected and interdependent. Let's now explore the concept of trophic levels in food chains and webs. Trophic levels represent the position an organism occupies in a food chain or web. Energy is transferred from one level to the next, but with each level, there are fewer organisms, though they tend to be larger in size. At the base of the food chain, we have producers, plants, algae, and phytoplankton. These organisms use sunlight to produce their own food and serve as the energy source for all other levels. Above the producers at level 2 are the primary consumers, or herbivores, which feed on producers. Examples include rabbits and grasshoppers, which eat plants. Next, at level 3, we have secondary consumers, which are typically carnivores that eat herbivores. For example, frogs eating grasshoppers or snakes eating rodents. Finally, at level 4, we have tertiary consumers, the top predators in the food chain, such as hawks, lions, or orcas, which feed on secondary consumers. So, to summarize, producers form the foundation, followed by primary consumers, secondary consumers, and finally tertiary consumers at the top. The energy flows up the levels, but with fewer organisms at each higher level. Let's explore the carbon cycle, a crucial process that describes how carbon moves between the atmosphere, land, water, and organisms. The carbon cycle helps maintain the balance of carbon in our biosphere, and it involves several key steps. First, photosynthesis. Plants absorb carbon dioxide, CO2, from the atmosphere and convert it into sugars. This is the foundation of the carbon cycle, where producers create energy for other organisms. Next, in respiration and decomposition, organisms release CO2 back into the atmosphere. When animals breathe, they release CO2, and when plants and animals die, decomposers break down their bodies, returning carbon to the environment. However, human activities like burning fossil fuels and deforestation are releasing excess CO2 into the atmosphere, which is contributing to climate change. To sum up, the carbon cycle is an essential process that helps regulate the balance of carbon on Earth, but human actions are disrupting it, leading to environmental challenges. The biosphere is a dynamic and interconnected system where every organism, from the smallest microbe to the largest predator, plays a vital role in maintaining ecological balance. Understanding its complexity is essential for making informed decisions that support conservation efforts and ensure the sustainability of our planet. By recognizing the importance of preserving the biosphere, we can all contribute to a healthier, more sustainable future. Thank you for watching and learning about the interconnected web of life that sustains us all. Let's continue to care for and protect the biosphere for generations to come.